A deadline is closing in, the language from Washington is growing more aggressive by the hour, and the stakes are not just regional, they are global. Because this is no longer only about one country, one military threat, or one diplomatic standoff. This is about energy, trade, military power, and the risk of a broader conflict that could ripple far beyond Iran's borders. President Donald Trump has issued one of his most dramatic warnings yet. According to Live reporting, he said that if Iran does not reach a deal and reopen the Strait of Hormuz, then a whole civilization will die tonight. That is not ordinary political language. That is the language of a leader trying to force a decision under extreme pressure. And the deadline is not vague. It is specific. Trump has told Iran it must act by 8 p.m. Eastern Time Tuesday, with live coverage noting that the cutoff is approaching quickly and that the window for negotiations is narrowing by the hour. 2. Understand why this matters. You have to understand the Strait of Hormuz. This narrow waterway is one of the most important shipping routes in the world. A huge share of global oil and gas passes through it, which means any threat to its safety is immediately felt by markets, governments, and consumers everywhere. If traffic through the strait is blocked or threatened, the consequences would not stay confined to the Middle East. They could affect energy prices, shipping routes, inflation, and even the pace of the global economy. This is why this standoff is so dangerous. Trump is not simply warning Iran to back down. He is linking the crisis to infrastructure and access, making clear that the consequences could include attacks on major targets inside Iran if Tehran does not comply. Live reporting shows that the threats have included bridges, power plants, and other key civilian infrastructure. That part of the story is crucial because it changes the character of the confrontation. Military targets are one thing. Civilian infrastructure is another, and that is why these remarks have triggered such a strong reaction. Iranian officials and the IRGC have already warned that if the United States crosses what they call red lines, retaliation will not be limited to the immediate area. They have also threatened to deny the U.S. and its partners access to oil and gas for years if civilian sites are attacked. So what we are seeing is not just pressure. We are seeing pressure met with pressure. And the rhetoric is not getting calmer. BBC coverage notes that Trump has repeatedly raised the intensity of his warnings, while Iranian reporting has pointed to damage on the ground, including a strike on a railway bridge and canceled train services. Al Jazeera's live updates also show that the crisis is moving in real time, with Israel reportedly striking infrastructure inside Iran, while Tehran warns of devastating retaliation. The practical question now is simple. What happens when the deadline expires? That is the question hanging over Washington, Tehran, and the rest of the world. Live reports show that only Trump knows the exact next step, and White House officials have signaled that the decision remains in his hands. That uncertainty is part of the pressure campaign. It keeps both allies and adversaries guessing, and it makes every hour before the deadline feel heavier than the last. There is also a diplomatic layer to this crisis. According to live coverage, mediation efforts have been underway, with Pakistan mentioned as an active intermediary in proposals and peace discussions. But the reports also suggest that Iranian officials are showing little willingness to compromise on the central issue. That matters because once diplomacy starts losing momentum, military options become more likely to dominate the conversation. And that is exactly why global markets are paying close attention. Whenever the Strait of Hormuz is threatened, the first alarm bell goes off in energy markets. Oil traders, shipping companies, and governments all understand what is at stake. Even before a single strike lands, the mere possibility of disruption can push prices higher and create uncertainty in supply chains. In other words, a political decision in one region can quickly become a financial shock around the world. What makes this moment even more alarming is the scale of the threats. Trump has not spoken in general terms. He has talked about the destruction of power plants and bridges. He has suggested that Iran could be taken out in one night. BBC reporting describes the warning as one that could leave entire systems shattered if the deadline is ignored. That kind of messaging is designed to create fear, but it also creates the risk of miscalculation. In a crisis this tense, one wrong assumption can lead to a chain reaction neither side intended. There is also the issue of credibility. When leaders issue repeated ultimatums, the world watches to see whether they will follow through. If they do, the conflict escalates. If they do not, the threat loses some of its power. Right now, Trump appears determined to make this deadline matter, and the live reporting suggests he is intentionally keeping the pressure maximum until the final minute. For Iran, the response is equally high stakes. If it opens the Strait of Hormuz,